Welcome back to our conversation with Pat Tutwiler. He's the Secretary of Education here in the Commonwealth, overseeing early childhood education, K through 12, and higher ed. So it's going to be a busy election day this fall for education issues. Headed for the ballot is a question that would drop passing the MCAS test as a graduation requirement, leaving the state with essentially, if it passes, no graduation requirement. Do you support or oppose that question?
I support the idea of there being a standard, a state standard for high school graduation. As you just suggested, that question, if it passes, would deliver us to a place of no standard, essentially 351 different standards for high school graduation. I don't believe that is the direction to go. The governor does not believe that it's the direction to go, and so, no, I do not support it.
So, okay, continue with the MCAS, or are you looking to replace the MCAS?
So thank you for asking, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about what this question means as it relates to the actual test.
Mm-hmm.
The question would remove the high school graduation requirement piece of it. The test itself is required by federal law. The federal government requires there to be an English and math test in grades 3 through 8 and then once in high school. Mm-hmm. So the test will stay there. It'll still be important because it's part of the accountability system. And there's a lot of misunderstanding out there that, hey, if this question passes, we don't have to do the MCAS anymore in high school. Simply not true. And I'd also say that I do think it's an important standard in a student's experience, right? It's important that we get to a point where we're saying definitively that students who graduate in Massachusetts have met a certain standard, and that test stands right now as that standard. Could it be a different assessment? Absolutely. Should assessment evolve and maybe look different ways? Absolutely, and I'm more than open to that conversation, but in as much as it relates to a standard, I believe there should be one.
What about the ballot question, or the potential ballot question, that would allow teachers to legally go on strike, which they currently cannot do?
Not on board, not even a little bit.
Why not?
Well, the law is in place for a reason that outlaws strikes, and that has to do with the impact, the people who are directly impacted by a strike, and that's students. And we saw this in really painful ways in Newton most recently, when for 10 days students were at home, unable to access each other in the structured environment of school, unable to access learning. It has a detrimental impact on students, and so I'm not in favor of that either.
I mean, the Newton strike, I think, is still fresh in people's minds. Mm-hmm. And if you believe the rhetoric coming from the teachers' union in Newton, this was the civil rights struggle of our time. They're singing "We Shall Overcome" there, and talking about how we've sent a vital message resonating across the state. What did you saw that? What did you make of it?
Here's what I would say. I was a teacher. I taught in the Boston Public Schools. I started my career there. Once a teacher, always a teacher. I was raised by one. I believe deeply in the work that teachers do, right? Society depends on the success of teachers in classrooms. And so I have incredible respect for the work. The compensation question is a real one and needs to be addressed. But it has to happen at the bargaining table, and it has to be done within the parameters, the fiscal parameters of a town or municipality, and that's the reality. I would not and don't support the idea of strikes happening and then the impact on students. And the win conversation, this is a win. I would question that a little bit, or a lot, frankly, when we think about the impact on students, and then the impact on students in subsequent years, because some communities are making deals that they can't afford, which results in layoffs and closing of programs, and that's concerning. And so we want to make sure that we're lifting up the profession and compensating accordingly. I know that's an important question, and I believe in it 100%, but not through the means that I've seen happening lately.
The Newton Union accused the mayor and school committee of trying to balance their budget on the backs of teachers. You've been a superintendent. Have you ever observed a school committee, a mayor, or a superintendent who wanted to balance the budget on the backs of teachers?
That has not been my experience, but you know, folks will say what they will, but that has not been my experience.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's great meeting you.
Likewise.
The first interview is always easy.
Okay.
But we'll look forward to...
This was easy?
Well, yeah. We'll look forward to having you back here often. The door is open, the red carpet is out.
Thank you, gladly.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.